Hi, I'm Joseph Radhik. I'm a portrait photographer and visual storyteller. Storytelling for me is about images, both moving and still, that tell a story within a moment. And this is my masterclass with the OPPO Reno 7 Pro. As part of the campaign for the OPPO Reno 7 Pro, we invited entries from all across India from photography and videography enthusiasts. And out of these, there were some who are already creating really good content with the Reno 7 Pro. These are my top 3 selections from them.
Hi, my name is Urvi and I really enjoy shooting people, mainly portraits. That gives me a lot of joy, understanding and just talking to people and understanding a side of them that they usually do not express.
Hi, I'm Amar and I actually grew up with a visual memory through stories that my grandmothers and my mom told me. That visuals helped me build my work and tell the story of the subject as well in that moment.
Hi, I am Piyush. For me, photography is like an expression of myself, is what I feel at that particular point of time. Rather than just clicking the photos, I like the idea behind it.
My plan for today was very simple. I was going to give you guys a breakdown of what goes on in my mind when I'm making a photo of a person. More than anything else, it's a process that's been honed over the years. Because I realized that photography can be a lot of things. It can be an expression of your mood. It can be an expression of the people around you, right? Or the purest form for me is photography is like a moment in time, right? This happened then, and that makes it unique because that moment doesn't repeat itself unless it is staged and whatnot, right? So the idea is that to look for those real moments and capture those moments. So for me, the simplest parts is just 2 things. The ability for you to separate your subject from the rest of their environment, right? You can do that with light and frame, right? So I'm going to continuously keep looking at the way you use light and also the way you're able to frame your subject. Whether you use geometry, whether you use color, contrast, anything you want. But really for me, this is the basic part of it. Because I like the fact that most of you have actually spoken about conversations to mood to a moment, right? The real part for me is going to be how you capture a moment, right? I'm looking for a moment that also tells you some kind of a story, if possible. The second part of this is emotion. You guys understand that? Emotion, right? Because you're photographing people and not landscapes, like just empty landscapes. I'm looking for proper emotion, right? So emotion that is real, or emotion that is awkward, or emotion that is just everyday fun, right? Either ways. The idea is not just that you are looking at your photos or your content, right? My goal is that one day these photos will make it to a third-party audience, somebody who doesn't know you, who comes across this image made by you. They should feel something. The idea is to evoke that emotion from them. Now, in our hands today is the Reno 7 Pro. Since you guys have spent time with it, you know most of it. But I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I need you to look out for. Especially when we are making content with a device like this, which is, frankly speaking, very liberating. Right? It takes away from the complications of a camera and lets you look at the world around you and make photos. So when you're out and about making photos, you're going to find that your subjects are in very, they're not necessarily posed like a studio shot, correct? So you want the ability to be able to separate your subject from the background. So I want you to experiment with the bokeh flare portrait feature of the Reno 7 Pro. And this is not just for at night time, where obviously the lights are on. When there are no lights in the scene, how do you create bokeh? Right? You can do this by walking in the bylanes. I think there's Bombay is full of these beautiful bylanes which have some trees and there's some dappled light coming through. All of that looks very good on camera. So which happily lets me segue on to the fact that you should try using the focus tracking mode as well. Just get your subject to walk along, even not just at a fixed distance, but let them walk towards the camera and see how well the focus is tracked using this phone, right? I also want you to use the camera app a lot, which is primarily 2 things I want you to do. The first is very obvious, which is understand the ability to modulate the exposure here, right? So tap on a part of the image which you feel is the main focus of the image? For me, the obvious answer is that is the face of your subject, correct? So ensure that the camera knows that this is the subject you want to capture. So tap on it, move your exposure down or below, however you want to. The other, which is sometimes not so obvious. Now, as content creators, as photographers, filmmakers, we all talk a lot about compositions, correct? With rule of thirds and everything else. But funnily enough, I find that composition is typically a post-mortem affair. Like for example, if I look at this photo, this is in the top third corner is the subject's face, right? But it's mostly a post-mortem thing in the sense that you see all of this after the photo is taken, correct? I want you to have the ability to do this while you're taking the photo, which is a very simple hack. Turn on the grid, right? I want you guys to be in the moment. I want you to be able to talk to your subjects, and I also want to let the very smart camera help you take that photo, right? So turn on your grid and take the help of it to ensure that you're doing something unique in your composition, that you're not just putting your subject smack dab in the center. And the other thing is, if you say today you're like, Joe, I don't feel like doing this bokeh bit, I want a lot of detail. I want to capture all, I want to put my subject in the middle of a lot of clutter. For that, there is a very cool feature within this camera app called Extra HD. Essentially, it stacks up photos to ensure that you have the maximum detail. And you can do this. You can take a regular photo and then try Extra HD. You're going to see a lot more detail in the image. It'll take a little bit longer. That's okay, right? Right. So this is the technical bit. And in doing so, this is my last part actually, right? Saying that shoot after the shot as well. Does that make sense? Shoot after the shot as well. Because the moment you get that great photo or video on your phone, right? The moment you take that photo, you're like, yes, done. And then do this and then share to Instagram, right? Whereas the real action is happening here in front of you. How many times in life have you thought, I put my phone down, right? So instead, stay within that moment. And one of the things that I do when I'm especially making any kind of content with the phone is I'm not looking at it like, I'm not like this, nor am I like this. I'm actually like this. I'm continuously maintaining eye contact, having a conversation, right? If I want them to look into my lens, then I will prompt them to do so. But otherwise, they don't need to. They can just have a conversation with me, right? That's why in my priority list, when I told you, number one was communication, right? Number one is connection. Connection was my number one. Then there's emotion and moment. Then there's light and frame, right? Relevant storytelling photos is what I'm looking at from you guys. I actually have very easily understandable 3 tasks for you to do with the Reno 7 Pro. So the number one is to tell a story with your phone. Whether you do it in a video clip or a single photo. The other is much simpler in the images that I've shown you so far, which is the ability to capture real emotion, okay? Real emotion which comes out as literally as an expression, okay? An expression is something that you can't fake. You can, there's this thing that I think we all grew up around photographers and videographers who've told you, acha smiles, thoda smile dijiye na, right? And I'll give you an in of the way I look at expressions, okay? Every human emotion is like a bell curve. It's like a bell curve, right? It starts awkward, goes into a full-blooded smile, and then tapers off again. In between, you're blinking and doing a bunch of awkward things. Your ability to time that shot to get that perfect expression is going to be the second task. There's a third one, which is very specific to the phone. I want to see how well you're able to use the selfie camera, right? The front-facing camera. Whether you put it in the hands of a model or whether you use it yourself. Okay, so clearly you've had some fun with the phone, right? And the tasks are done. I really want to know what you felt about your experience with the Reno 7 Pro, especially in the wild, right? Start off, Urvi.
Like before going out, I asked you, and I was a little worried about feeling pressured, right? And initially, I did sort of fidget with the phone, and I found it a little difficult. But as I went on shooting and going, I went about the whole walk around the city. I think it got much easier for me because it was no longer the technicality of it, but just enjoying the process of shooting this friend who is just having a good day.
You, Piyush.
Yeah, firstly, I took your advice and I had amazing day with my subject. Yeah, apart from that, I think I was just waiting for the moment and the emotions to evoke.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yes. Amar.
I really enjoyed using the phone as it helps me get the frame that I visualize.
Okay.
But yeah, I do understand that I should really spend some more time with my subjects and observe them a bit more to basically connect to their stories as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a few of the photos that you've captured and videos, right? And the idea here is, as I said already, the idea is not, we are not chasing perfection here, right? But I'm just going to give you, according to the tasks we set out to achieve, what is my feedback with each of these images, right? And my hope is that we are able to have a conversation about the photos. There are no winners or losers here. The idea is just to have a conversation, okay? We'll start with this photo by Amar. Right, so this, when I initially saw it, I was like, we need to talk about this photo. This image is a great example of the dynamic range of the device you're using, because there is harsh sunlight on top and there is clearly pitch dark shadows at the bottom, correct? But still you can see all the things around your subject there, right? All the utensils and the darker floor, and you can see detail in the highlights on the top. So that way it's nice. Compositionally, it's almost there, right? Your subject is kind of somewhere in those 4/3. He's there in all of those bits. Expression-wise, it's there as well. The only thing I would have done for this is probably either use an in-camera mode that allows you to either blur out the top, little bit brings the subject into focus, either using blur or probably using dodge or burn in post to darken the top. So technically speaking, again, your eye is attracted to the brightest part of the image. Correct? Yeah. And the brightest part of the image is all around it. That's what I would look at, correct? Okay, next one. Okay, Amar. So this photo, I can see you've captured it before sunrise, right? Firstly, I love the use of the bokeh flare portrait feature because literally all the street lamps and the lamps for the homes are nicely aligned. But more than that, I love how the contrast of the dawn sky, it's just becoming blue, along with the yellow and the oranges really pops, right? Those are both complementary ends of the color circle, and that's really nice.
It actually, I wasn't expecting the phone to perform this good in such low light, but it turned out to be really nice.
Yeah, pleasant surprises are always good. Can we go to the next one? I think more than anything else, it shows off, I'm being technical here and a nerd, but it shows off how the large sensor, that is the center sensor, is able to actually give you some shallowed off without using any portrait mode or anything, right? Just as it is. I really hope more people try using the video mode just to capture fun everyday moments. It's really high quality. Can we go to the next one? I think this is Piyush's set. Piyush is very nervous because he's sitting right beside me. Yeah. So what I like in this is you're clearly asking your friend to instigate a moment, correct? You ask them to, because I see this image and I immediately get it, that you are standing on the other side of the pigeons and you asked him to run towards the camera. Excellent thought in order to create a moment, okay? Next one. So I was scrolling through your images and immediately I stopped at this because it caught my interest. So this uses two aspects of the of a good camera system, which is the ability to bring out details in low light, which is right in the front of the lens. But at the same time, all of those lines lead you into that subject. And I like that your subject is not in light here. They're a silhouette, correct? So if you zoom in, you'll actually be able to see the finer details in the shadows, but I'm happy not being able to see them as well. It's a really intriguing shot. I don't know whether I should be scared of the stranger approaching me in the tunnel, right? Or whether I should be excited that a friend is coming in or that I got this shot. Either ways, very, very interesting image. Love the detail in the shadows. I think there's a video that follows up right after this. Can you go for it? So what I like in this video that you captured, right? You're clearly pushing the ability of your phone for that stabilized shot, right? So great way to show off the fact that it has really strong image stabilization, right? Okay, let's go to Urvi. Yeah. The moment I saw this photo, it's so easy to understand, right? So here is a shopkeeper who sells mirrors. That's it, okay? It's like, if I can distill any photo into a sentence, I think the job is done. That's why I like this photo. It's such a simple photo. Technically, there are things off in the sense that there are so many bright highlights around, but you can fix that with a little bit of edit. I also like the fact that you've taken the effort for your subject to look into the lens. So there is a direct contact as soon as you see it. And I like the fact that his hand is in the frame, so you know that's a reflection. Otherwise, it can be misconstrued as windows, correct? So many tiny little things, right? But very easy to understand the image, very easy to comprehend all of it. I also love that, again, I know I sound like a repetitive person here, but detail, dynamic range, everything else that you're taking with your device is shown. Can I go to the next one? Yeah, so this is a classic, it's like you slap on an Instagram filter on top of it and it's like the solo girl in a book cafe reading a book, right? It's a classic portrait. The reason I kept it is because even though you can clearly see this is low light, firstly, this is indoor lighting and there are fluorescent tubes, etc. In spite of that, the fact that there is such clean face light, right? It's not your typical what is called butterfly lighting or whatever, giving you under eye shadows. It's not that. So it's really nice understanding of light. Really nice actually usage of the low light feature of the camera to show that there's even color and detail all around. Can I go to the next one? I think it should be a video. It's really well done because it shows off the bokeh flare portrait in video mode. I think the strongest fact here is that because there's fixed distance between your subject and the camera, the background is rendered very well and there's dappled light coming through always. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to know one thing quickly that you enjoyed using the OPPO Reno 7 Pro in the field. Amar, you first.
It's actually the night mode for me, along with the bokeh flare portrait.
You're stealing two things, but okay, I'll go with night mode with you. Urvi.
Extra HDR for the win.
Extra HD, okay. Piyush, what's your favorite feature?
I think I would go with portrait wide angle smart selfie mode because it lets the another person in. Like whenever I'm in a party with my friends, so like they can the camera goes wider.
Nice. Alright guys, I'm Joseph Radhik and this was my masterclass with the OPPO Reno 7 Pro. #the Portrait Expert. Stay tuned to OPPO India's social media handles for more exciting activities for content creators.